They want to see, is someone physically able to do the job within a time limit? You know what I mean? Under pressure, and to have the stamina and endurance to be able to persevere and do these different job tasks that you will most likely be responsible for doing as a groundman or as an apprentice. And that's ultimately what they're looking for. And there's other, like I said, there's other apprenticeships out there that do a very similar thing, so they can kind of weed out the ones who aren't really built for the trade. And unfortunately, some of you out there who want to get into the trade, want to be a lineman, or want to do something, iron worker or whatever, it's physical endurance work in the outdoors. Some people just aren't built for it, and that's reality. Hello, welcome back to CTQ episode 20. CTQ is a segment I do on this channel called Cruise to Questions. This is where I take your guys' questions and I answer them here on the YouTube channel in a podcast form to help you guys on your journey to build a career in a skilled trade. Mainly, these are lineman related questions for the most part. A lot of you guys want to become linemen. You guys can ask me any questions regarding any trade about really any of it in the blue collar world. I know a handful of people who are experts in a lot of different fields. So I can get answers of pretty much about anything. And with you guys' questions, just go ahead and submit them, austin@bluecollaredu.com, or put them in the comments down below. That way, if you do ask your questions in the comments, hopefully the community of blue collar people that either watch these videos or come across the comment can maybe help you guys with your questions. So those are the two ways, or you can DM message me on Instagram or TikTok at bluecollaredu, and I can also take questions there as well. Without further ado, let's hop into question number one. Question number one actually comes from my boy Slava. I actually don't know who he is, but I can't pronounce what his real name is. He says, "Hello Austin, I'm Slava. Thank you very much for your content. I've watched a lot of your videos on YouTube and I find it very helpful and informative. Let me just tell a little bit about myself and then I'll ask my question. I'm a foreigner, moved to USA about 6 years ago from Ukraine, where I was a lineman. Be honest, there are everything different than I see here in the USA. So basically, my previous experience, not really helpful. Obviously gives basic understanding about electricity, but as I see watching videos about lineman trade, I need to learn everything from the beginning pretty much. It was my dream for about 4 years to become a lineman here in the US, but it's not easy at all. Currently, I'm self-employed construction contractor, building houses, frame. But I want a line career so bad, and I just 1 week ago finally got my Class A CDL and applied for Vista Utilities here in Spokane, Washington for a CDL groundman position. I think you are familiar with this area because I remember from one of your videos that you used to go to a Vista lineman school. So I got invitation for the Tryout skills evaluation and interview on February 18th. And my question is how to prepare for this event. I mean, I didn't know that for this position, you have to have some working skills already, and what kind of tools must have for that, and just in general, what's your advice to prepare and have a good interview and stuff. I'm attaching the screenshots from the emails so you can know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. If you find time for response, I will find time for response. I'm gonna respond to your question right now, Slava, from Ukraine. Honestly, actually, this is kind of a side note, but one of the better linemen, one of the nicest, hardest working dudes that I know. I've worked with the lineman trade who's actually from this neck of the woods on the east side of Washington. He's a lineman that's worked a lot of different places, is from Ukraine. And his name is Constantine, and if anyone would know Constantine, you would know he's an awesome dude. Just a very awesome lineman, nice dude. Anyways, besides the point, I just thought about that because you said you're from Ukraine. And it sounds like you want to build the American dream as a lineman. So it's highly possible. Don't get discouraged. Anyways, I'll read these screenshots so you guys have a better understanding, because it's talking about A Vista Groundman Tryout. You should arrive ready to begin prior to your scheduled start time. All events will start promptly at the time selected. Please plan to be with us for the full time selected on this day. If you meet the standards of the tryout, you will be asked to stay for an interview on the same day. You will be participating in activities to test your skills in this field. Some activities should include installing a hand hole in ground, installing conduit riser, raising and lowering a crossarm, retrieving tools and placing them in a grunt sack, climbing a 30-foot extension ladder, or building a crossarm. You will be given written and verbal instructions on all tests by proctor, and the events will be timed. Additional information, this trial interview process will be at your own expense. We ask that you prepare to be in Spokane for the tryout period. Please bring your PPE with you to try out. Minimum PPE includes boots above the ankle, long sleeve shirt, long pants, gloves, safety glasses, and hard hat. Please make sure that your hard hat and attire is work appropriate. We will have some extra stuff if you don't have some of this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Fill out some links here. So basically, Slava's wondering what kind of advice or tips and tricks I can give for this. So he is correct. I did go to a Vista Lineman College school at their training facility they have in Spokane. That is a lineman school I went to back in January, March, April of 2016 is when I did this. And I don't think they do this lineman school anymore, but they did have a lineman school that you could pay to go to. And it was pretty good. I mean, the best thing I got from it was my Class A CDL. So besides that, I mean, it was cool to see the trade, but besides the point, preparing for essentially a knowledge aptitude test for a Vista utility. So I do know a couple people that have tried out for this. And I will say when I completed that lineman school, they were doing the same thing. They basically gave us an opportunity, like if you want to, you apply, and we could do this exact same aptitude test. Now, I personally didn't want to work at a Vista Utilities. That was not something I was trying to do. I wasn't from the area or anything. So I was like, I want to go on the contractor side. So I didn't even apply. I didn't even do the tryouts. But from what I know, it's very, very competitive. The people that do this tryouts for this position most likely already know exactly what to do in the test. And there may or may not be where the utility might be looking for somebody already. Either way, they have to do these tryouts for equal opportunity employment. But don't by any means take that in a way of like, I'm not gonna have a chance. Because you do have a chance. I had a really good buddy of mine who had no in there, but he just absolutely aced the pre-apprenticeship tryout and ended up getting the job and became an apprentice out of Vista. When it says in here, you'll be participating in activities to test your skills in this field, such as installing a handhole in the ground. Now, you may not even know what a handhole is. A handhole is essentially a box, like a fiberglass or steel or some sort of box that goes in the ground that's got to be level flush with the ground, essentially. And that's where like secondary utilities will come up into that box for street light secondaries or whatever kind of secondaries. And it's a box, you see them all the time, water meters. There's these boxes that are flush with the top of the ground. Those are handholes. So you'll have to dig out the ground and set a handhole in the ground so it's level, good, everything's good to go, and backfill it and make it look all pretty and nice how it should. That's going to be one of the tasks that you have to do and on a time limit. And then obviously they inspect your work and see, and they grade you based on those things. Installing a conduit riser, I don't know exactly like if you're climbing a pole and installing a conduit riser off the pole, or like if the pole's on the ground and you got to install. I don't really know exactly what these job tasks entail exactly, but I personally would probably just go on YouTube where you're at right now, and I would just search up handhole in ground electrical, and then see what it's all about. I know there's some because I looked them up earlier. Maybe I'll have them linked below where you guys can check the video out, and see what they're talking about when it comes to a handhole, even what a handhole is. It's pretty easy, and once you watch the video, it's literally digging a hole, setting this box in the ground, making it flush and level, and then backfilling it and make it look nice. That's literally what a handhole is. But they have time limits, and they're obviously going to inspect your work and see, grade you based on how well you did. You know, things like raising and lowering a cross arm, that's another thing that's very specific to the lineman trade. So they're looking for someone who probably has some prior experience, which sounds like you did in Ukraine. You had some prior experience. So if you know what it's like to raise and lower a cross arm, then like that's something you could expect to see. Retrieving tools, placing them in a grunt sack. Hey, do you know what kind of tools we use in lineman trade? If not, you know what I mean? You can like go on YouTube and learn about the different tools, or maybe you worked in a lineman trade already, so you know what these tools are. So Vista is looking for someone who already has prior knowledge in the trade for the most part. And you also kind of ask what advice to prepare and have a good interview and stuff. So assuming that you pass this test, which this test is not easily, but is passable. I'm actually going to make a video in the very near future about the like hands-on aptitude test that Swolecat has here for the Southwest Line Contractor Apprenticeship in the Southwest. It's the same thing where they have you do actually a handful of tasks to basically advance to an interview, and you got to pass these time limits and all these different jobs that they want you to do to move on to an interview and then ultimately move on to an apprenticeship. So for the interview, I always tell people, like, they know they can see through the BS. You just have to be honest. You know what I mean? Be yourself, be honest. From what I actually know from a Vista, because my buddy who used to be in the apprenticeship and no longer is, he still works out of Vista. He tells me that they are ultimately looking for people to work there who, they don't care about your prior experience like lineman school. They don't really care. They want someone who's able to work, learn, the hard worker, has a good attitude on all those attributes to become a good apprentice and ultimately a good lineman. So my advice for the interview is just be honest. You know what I mean? Show your passion. If you really want to get to the lineman trade, show your passion towards doing that. You did it previously in Ukraine. Show them that, hey, I want to become a lineman in the USA. And you want to build a career there. That's my own personal advice. And then from what I've heard and I've recognized from other people, interviewers, they don't want to hear the fluff of they can smell, they can wade through the BS. So just don't try to BS them. Just be honest. Tell them straight up, this is what you're looking for and this is what you want to do. And then obviously depending on how well you did with your hands-on task, aptitude test, whatever you want to call it, and then plus your interview, maybe they see you as a very likely candidate for the apprenticeship. That's my piece of advice for you, because honestly, without really doing line work in America and kind of doing like these tasks that they're going to have you do inside, it's hard to tell you on camera or exactly show you. I can't really show you what these tasks are because I don't know how it was in 2016, how they did this test. It may be different than how it is now. It sounds like it's probably not too much different, but it sounds like it's along the same lines. They want to see, is someone physically able to do the job within a time limit? You know what I mean? Under pressure, and to have the stamina and endurance to be able to persevere and do these different job tasks that you will most likely be responsible for doing as a groundman or as an apprentice. And that's ultimately what they're looking for. And there's other apprenticeships out there that do a very similar thing, so they can kind of weed out the ones who aren't really built for the trade. And unfortunately, Some of you out there who want to get into the trade, want to be a lineman or want to do something, iron worker or whatever, it's physical endurance work in the outdoors. Like some people just aren't built for it, and that's reality. You know what I mean? And there's nothing against you, but if it's something you really want to do, you got to realize that you got to be able to pass these tests, these endurance tests. They want to see what you're made out of. Can you do these things? And a lot of it's physical hard work. It takes endurance and strength. So if you're out of shape, if you're fat and you want to become a lineman, now sure, there's linemen out there that they're a little bit bigger on the bigger side and whatever, they might not be very healthy. But if you want to get started in the trade as a groundman or an apprentice, it's a good look to have, to be able to be fit and do the tasks that's required as a groundman or an apprentice. So that's honestly my advice. I can't tell you exactly how to pass this test, except do a little bit of research on what they have here on participating in the activities and the skills. Just look up those things on YouTube. Maybe I'll try to find a few videos and put them in the link description for maybe some of you guys who want to learn a little bit more about this. But like I said, utilities will have this because they want to weed out a lot of the applicants that aren't meant for the trade. I know another PUD, another utility near my hometown where they now do a similar thing, because beforehand they would just have applications open and you could apply and then just do interviews. But they got too many applicants and too many candidates who they ended up hiring turned out to just be not very good groundmen or apprentices. Like they sucked at the job and they were terrible. So they wasted all the time and the money to bring this person on. And now they have a similar hiring process like this, where the first thing is you got to be able to pass this skills test. We want to see where your endurance level is. We want to see how physically able you are to do some of the job tasks that you will be required to do before you can advance on to an interview. So something you want to look for if you're going to apply at a utility or even like SWOLCAT, where you're going to have to do a hands-on field task test like this to advance further on and ultimately get an apprenticeship. All right, let's hop into question number 2. Question number 2 comes from a guy named Jeremiah. He says, "Hey Austin, before I ask my question, I just want to thank you for the videos you make on YouTube." You're welcome. They help a lot and I get a lot of value from them. So my main question is about the work hours as an apprentice and after you complete an apprenticeship. I know you mentioned that if you want to chase the big jobs and make that money, it's possible. However, if you prefer doing a basic 40-hour work week doing whatever, that's possible as well. However, in an apprenticeship, what do the work hours look like? For someone going in the trade, are the apprenticeship hours very flexible, or should I expect to be working excessive hours until I reach my journeyman status? Thank you for your insight and videos. As an apprentice, your expectations are to be, you work whenever they tell you to work and whatever work they have for you. Because the apprenticeship is based on hours, 7,000 hours, and you have to get a certain amount of hours in these different categories, as I've previously explained in many different videos. So if they're offering you hours to work, I, as an apprentice, am going to take all the hours I can get. 1, because I'm going to make more money. 2, because I'm going to get more experience in whatever I'm doing. And 3, it's going to count more hours towards my apprenticeship, which ultimately should result in me maybe be able to complete my apprenticeship faster. A lot of places, it used to be 1,000 hours per step, and every 1,000 hours you'd step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 7. Now it's a little bit different. A lot of places it's 6 months minimum. So even if you have 1,500 hours and you know what I mean, you can't step until you're 6 months. So it's going to take you 3.5 years regardless. But not all places are like that. I don't even know where you're from, so I can't really specify for you exactly. So, but yeah, hours in this trade, it really depends on what the contractor has to offer. Like, I know in Arizona right now, you have 410s. I know there's 510s. I know there's 610s, and there probably is some 7 days a week. There's night work. There's all kinds of work going on right now, even though I'm currently on the books and waiting for a call. And haven't gotten a call yet, which is kind of unfortunate. That's part of the union that kind of sucks. Can't really solicit my own work. Anyways, besides the point. Should you expect to be working excessive hours? I wouldn't expect to work excessive hours. It all depends. Like as an apprentice, where you get transferred to is where you're working. Are you guys doing 410s or 5.8s or 5.10s or 6.10s or 6.12s or 7.10s or 7.12s? What's the job schedule you guys are working, right? I can't answer that for you. That honestly really depends on what apprenticeship you get in. And then the kind of work that they're doing. So there's a lot of different variables that would dictate how many hours. But honestly, for someone going into the trade, I wouldn't even worry about the hours type of thing. Now, a lot of people already are worried about the hours and the money and all that stuff before you even get in. Like, don't worry about that stuff getting in. You know, don't even worry about it once you're in. Hey, like once you're in the apprenticeship, you just got to jump through the loops. You know what I mean? And once you're an apprenticeship or once you're an apprentice, the apprenticeship committee is going to be the one that's sending you different places so you can get different hours and different experience. And every time you step, you make more money. So I wouldn't worry about the hours before you get in or while you're in. Like, this is not a dumb question, but if you prefer 40 hours a week and that's all you want to do and you want to work 410s, but you're an apprentice, you don't really have a choice. You're doing whatever they give you or whatever they tell you. As a lineman, whatever call you get to be out of the union hall, if I get a call tomorrow for 410s and I take it, then that's my schedule, 410s. Maybe I get a call tomorrow for 610s, then that's my schedule, 610s. And then whatever, if they offer like different kind of, Sundays or night work or whatever, that's up to me to accept or decline. But as an apprentice, if they tell you, hey, we're working Saturday, hey, we're working this weekend at night, and you're an apprentice, unless your wife is going into labor or your mom just died or there was a family emergency, you're probably going to be working. So don't worry about excessive hours. Don't worry about your hours. Don't worry about any of that stuff. If you want to get in this trade, your main concern, your main worry is about that first step, which is like getting your Class A CDL. It's step by step, and then applying, and then interviewing, and then doing an aptitude test, and then getting in it, getting indentured, becoming an apprentice. Like, those are things step by step that you need to worry about. Don't worry about the big picture of how many hours you're going to be working, how much money you'll be making. That stuff will come. So that's what I would tell you. Anyways, so hopefully you guys enjoyed episode 20 of CTQ with Blue Collar EDU. I'm here to expose, teach, educate you guys about blue collar career opportunities, how to get started in a skilled trade. If you guys have questions, like I said, submit them at austin@bluecollaredu.com or put them in the comment sections down below. Those questions can be regarding anything in the blue collar world, and I would love to help answer your guys' questions to further your guys' career journeys. Anyways, with all that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on episode 21 of CTQ.